Hello, my name is Elizabella and I'll be explaining my study on determining the efficacy of mental strategies for improving working memory using neurofeedback in healthy adults. 500 new cases of pediatric medulloblastoma cancer are diagnosed annually in the United States. While this doesn't seem like a lot, it is the most common malignant brain tumor in children and accounts for 20% of all pediatric brain tumors. And because of the treatment, like chemotherapy and radiation, as well as just the nature of the cancer, it can lead to decline in cognitive functions. And overall, 75% of cancer survivors end up experiencing some sort of cognitive impairments. Some of these cognitive impairments can look like a decrease in focus, problem solving, and working memory. And when someone experiences a decline in working memory, this can cause long-term problems and eventually a decrease in quality of life. And that's why it's imperative that we find a solution for this. We're looking at fMRI neurofeedback to help improve this working memory decline. Neurofeedback is a therapy and technology that can help people improve in a specific cognitive function. For example, with improving in focus. Someone can use neurofeedback, specifically fMRI neurofeedback, to help them improve their focus. So in a neurofeedback session, a participant will start in the fMRI machine, and then they will be given a task that corresponds to the function they're trying to improve to complete while in the machine. So if we're looking back at our example of improving focus, the participant will be in the fMRI machine and be given a task that will help them use their focus or try and train their focus while they're in the machine. Then the computer will analyze the brain functions and just measure the brain activity in these regions of the brain that are associated with the function that they're trying to improve. For example, the focus, they will measure the areas of the brain that are used in focusing. Then the brain activity will be displayed to the participant via visual feedbacks. So we can see in stage 4 here that this is using a thermometer visual feedback. And this is given straight to the participant, so while they're trying to use their focus and using the task to help them focus, they can see through this visual feedback if they are correctly using the brain regions to help them improve their focus. So this is the whole reason why they'll be given the feedback, so that they know if they're doing the task properly and they know that they are improving. Neurofeedback has been seen to improve anxiety, depression, ADHD, and even insomnia, and it has been in the past seen to help with working memory. And we've seen that also working memory has been associated with the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, also known as the DLPFC. However, the problem with using neurofeedback with fMRI neurofeedback to help improve working memory is that we have to find the right protocol to make it most effective. So with the specific task that the participants will be using while they're in the machine, or the fMRI machine, we want to clarify to see which one helps the most with eliciting the activity in the DLPFC region of the brain, which helps with which is associated with working memory. So the two mental strategies or tasks that we'll be looking at are comparing is the picnic game and the song game. The picnic game is a game where the participant will be thinking of or going through the alphabet and trying naming things that you would bring on a picnic that start with that letter. And they'll have to remember as they go along. For example, A for apple, B for blanket, and they'll go through the list and try to remember all the objects that they named that you would bring on a picnic. The song game, however, is with words, and the participant will try to remember a song that they remember the lyrics of a song, and they'll try to remember that as they're going through the neurofeedback sessions. Overall of the study is that because medulloblastoma is so common and accounts for 20% of all pediatric brain tumors, and 75% of cancer survivors end up experiencing cognitive impairments, which can lead to a decrease in quality of life. It's necessary that we find a solution for this. And we are going to look at fMRI neurofeedback because we know that it's helped improve working memory in the past. and that we've seen it be associated with the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and that, however, we need to find a most effective protocol with this technology. And so we're going to compare the picnic game to the song game to end up seeing which strategy can help children who have survived medulloblastoma cancer to improve their working memory the most. My role in the study was I entered a 3-year science research program at my high school, where I wrote a 32-page literature review about neurofeedback, and then I independently secured a mentor, and then I brainstormed ideas for a potential study with my mentor. We carried out the study, and then I drew conclusions confirmed by my mentor, and I eventually wrote a 20-page paper about the study. My mentor helped gather healthy volunteers for the study at their institution, and they also helped carry out the experimentation at their institution and sent me the de-identified data. The objectives of this study was to assess whether mental strategies elicit DLPFC activation, to just see if these mental strategies are able to help the participants use the DLPFC region of the brain, and then eventually see the effectiveness of these two strategies to see which one helps more in the overall activation of the DLPFC. Our hypotheses were that the mental strategies will be able to elicit measurable activation in the DLPFC, and that the picnic game will be able to elicit a stronger bilateral, meaning both left and right, so more symmetrical, DLPFC activation compared to the strong strategy. The methods of this study was we gathered 10 healthy volunteers with the mean age of 37.8 and the standard deviation of 11.2 years. We had 9 males and 1 female, and all of them went through 2 sessions of fMRI neurofeedback. This can be considered the training part of the aspect, where the participant will learn how to improve their working memory. And for each session, they'll focus on only one strategy, either the picnic or the song game, and they'll switch to when they go into the next session. So my mentors used a Siemens Magneton Prisma 3T scanner, where the participant will be put inside, and they'll be given this screen that they'll be able to see inside the machine, and that it will be presented in a hot air balloon. And so as the sessions are going on, the participants, their goal is to try and make the hot air balloon rise, and the way to do this is using their dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. And so if they are using their DLPFC, then the hot air balloon will rise. However, if they're not, the hot air balloon will lower. So each session lasts 4 minutes, and there'll be 30 seconds of rotating between either upregulation or downregulation. The downregulation, which they'll start with, is the rest portion, where they won't be using one of the tasks. They won't be doing the song or the picnic, and they're just trying to keep their mind at rest. And they're trying to keep the hot air balloon as low as they can on the ground and keep the hot air balloon on the ground. After the 30 seconds, they'll move on to the upregulation stage, which is where they'll actively try to use one of the mental strategies to try to have the hot air balloon rise, and this meaning that they're using their DLPFC. So they'll alternate between these different either the upregulation or downregulation throughout the 4 minutes, and that will be one session, and then they'll later go through a second session, but during the upregulation stage, they'll focus on the other tasks that they didn't do before. We found that the song and picnic strategies were able to elicit DLP activation, as you can see in both of the diagrams. With the song, we can see that there is activation in the DLPFC, where the boxes are highlighting. However, with the picnic game, you can see that it's more symmetrical, and that both on the left and right side, you can see that there's DLP activation more than the song task. And so this shows that for our first hypothesis, that the mental strategies are able to elicit the measurable activation in the DLPFC, and with our hypothesis too, we can see that the picnic game was able to help elicit stronger bilateral, both symmetrical DLPFC activation compared to the song strategy. Overall, the results show that both strategies were able to help elicit this activity in the DLPFC and help the area associated with working memory. However, the picnic game was able to engage a stronger DLP activation as well as more symmetrical. And the hot air balloon visual feedback was a way to help motivate children to engage in what is otherwise a demanding cognitive task. So I know it is healthy adults right now, but we're using this visual feedback to simulate what we would do with in the future when we do it with children who have survived medulloblastoma and suffer from working memory decline. And we use it because it can be difficult to pay attention. So when they have something like this, it can help with that. It can be difficult to stay focused on the same activity for an extended period over multiple sessions. So if the child is getting bored of one strategy, we can use both strategies. So it's not necessarily an elimination of the song strategy, but just knowing that the picnic game was able to help elicit a bit stronger and more equal activation, but that we can use both to help children who might possibly get bored of the same task over and over again, so that they can help pay attention for extended periods of time. So both tasks we can use in the future, because it can also help with children who might not get the picnic game, might not help as much, and the song strategy might help them more. So it's very specific to the child in general, and we can use it to help keep them entertained a bit more, so keeping multiple options open. The limitations of this study that we can use in the future to look at is that the small sample size, we had 10 participants, so in the future we're going to continue doing this study, but gather more information and more participants so we can have a more robust conclusion. We also we only conducted on healthy adults, so to get more relevant data, using this with children with cognitive deficits, specifically working memory, and children who have survived medulloblastoma cancer, which we will do in the future. And that the neurofeedback sessions were 4 minutes long, and to get more robust data, we're going to make the sessions 6 minutes long. I would like to thank my mentors, along with their lab, as well as my teachers and parents for all of their help. Thank you for listening.